Hi everyone, welcome back to a new video. In this video I'll be testing this laptop right here. This right here is a Dell Inspirion N5110. This laptop was released in September of 2011 and it used to cost $550. My model has an Intel Core i3-2310M CPU, 4GB of RAM, a 500GB hard drive, and Intel HD Graphics 3000, which power the 15.6-inch 1366 by 768 LCD display. Let's find out what this laptop can still do today. Alright, first off, it was time to take this laptop apart so I could clean it. Fun fact, this laptop used to belong to my grandpa and I used to play Minecraft on this laptop when I stayed with my grandparents, making this the earliest piece of tech I used to use, which is still in my possession and in working order. Taking this laptop apart was quite hard as you have to take it completely apart to replace the hard drive, but after some time I got to the hard drive and CPU and I could replace the thermal paste. Then it was on to cleaning. Over the years this laptop did get quite dirty, but after some good cleaning it came out looking very good again. Now let's install Windows. The initial setup went well, but after Windows could connect to the internet, it automatically installed some display drivers, which caused the built-in screen to show a blank picture. After some research, this seems to be a common issue with this model, and it's caused by an outdated BIOS. So I tried installing the BIOS drivers in Windows using a secondary display. This did not work since the battery was broken. But finally, after booting into a DOS USB stick containing the BIOS update and flashing the update, Windows worked correctly again. The only other issue that I ran into was that the battery is so dead that with the battery inserted, Windows won't start correctly, but this could be fixed by just removing the battery from the laptop. Time to install some programs. All programs that I wanted to install could be installed correctly, and this laptop was still pretty snappy during web browsing. Alright, now it's time to start writing a script on this laptop. Using Word is still perfectly doable and typing on this keyboard feels pretty good. This right here is the keyboard on this laptop. The keyboard on this laptop is definitely a lot more on the clicky side, but it's really not all that bad. The addition of a numpad is definitely something I can appreciate. This is how the keyboard sounds. Above the keyboard you can find the power button and also 3 function buttons. These buttons are for launching the Windows Mobility Center, Dell Support Center, and for turning the display on and off. All of these buttons illuminate when pressed. In terms of function keys, this laptop has a good set of function keys. You have function keys for things like screen brightness, media controls, and volume controls. In my opinion, almost all of the function keys on this laptop are pretty useful. Below the keyboard you can also find the touchpad. This touchpad is also pretty good. It's pretty big and the buttons feel satisfying to press. Time to test out the webcam. This laptop has a 1.3 megapixel webcam above the screen, and like you can see on screen, this webcam is actually quite good. It doesn't like fast motions, but for usage during meetings it's actually quite decent. Then I went on to testing out web browsing and YouTube. Web browsing is still pretty fast while using Firefox, and YouTube videos are watchable up to 1080p, and the built-in speakers in this laptop sound pretty decent. This is how the speakers sound. Decade-old budget phone can still do today. For ports, this laptop has a USB port, an HDMI port, eSATA port and an SD card reader on the left side. On the front you can only find some status LEDs. On the right side you can find the DVD player, 3.5mm jacks for headphones and microphones, and another USB port. And on the back there's an opening for a lock, a LAN port, a USB port, a VGA port and a charging port. Testing out the microphone. The microphone in this laptop is located next to the webcam, and this is how it sounds. Alright, this is how the microphone sounds on the Dell Inspirion N5110. The microphone is situated at the top next to the webcam, and I think the sound quality is pretty okay for a laptop. Now let's run some benchmarks. Starting off with Heaven. In Heaven, this laptop got an average FPS of 6.4 and a score of 160. Running Cinebench, the i3-2310M in this laptop managed to achieve a score of 766 in the multi-core test and a score of 348 in the single core test. I could for some reason not get MSI Afterburner to work, so I can't get detailed average FPS, 1% and 0.1% low readings for this laptop. Testing Minecraft. On the lowest settings and with a render distance of 7 chunks, the FPS usually hovered between 50 to 70 FPS, making Minecraft a perfectly playable title. Moving on to Roblox. On the second to lowest graphical settings, Roblox was also perfectly playable. The FPS usually hovered around 50 FPS, which made for some smooth gameplay. Moving on to a bit more graphical intense game, Euro Truck Simulator 2 was just barely playable on the lowest settings and in a resolution of 1024 by 768. At these settings, the FPS usually hovered around 20, but since there was practically no input lag, I would call this game just about playable. Bus Simulator 12 was just unplayable. Even on the lowest settings and in a resolution of 1280 by 768, the FPS dipped into the single digits pretty frequently, and it would not go anywhere above 20 FPS. So sadly, this game is unplayable on this laptop. I had to run CSGO at the lowest settings and in a resolution of 800 by 600, and at those settings the FPS would usually hover around 30 in-game, but when there was some more action on screen it would quickly dip down to the low 20s. So for some casual playing it's barely playable, but if you want to play competitive it's not very playable on this laptop. Now let's talk about the cooling fan in this laptop. The cooling fan is quite good, managing to keep the CPU at a pretty decent temperature even under load, and it's pretty silent. This is how the fan sounds under full load. And with that, it's time for my final opinion. Do I think that this laptop is still usable in 2023? Absolutely. I would definitely recommend this laptop. The i3 in this laptop can still handle web browsing just fine, navigating Windows 10 is also no issue, and some light games are no problem for this laptop, which makes using this laptop day to day a very good experience. I also really like the build quality of this laptop. It feels well built and the materials used in this laptop look quite premium. There are some downsides though, like the BIOS issues I had in the beginning, and if you ever want to swap out the hard drive for a much faster SSD, you have to take the laptop completely apart. And with that, this video comes to an end. Thanks so much for watching, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye!